again. Melissa Colletti with eXp Realty.
Danielle Tully. And we're girls just want to sell real estate
And have fun.
and have fun.
Today we are going to talk about,
What we've learned this month.
oh my gosh, so much. But we narrowed it down to 3.
We did.
So we're good.
Yes. And so we want you to learn what we've learned.
Yes, because being informed is great. So,
First thing is you.
yes. So
She
the
experienced some things that are a big, like, blah.
tread
like-
lightly, not recommended, talk to your
Well,
attorney.
usually kind of looked at as bait and switch, but
Definitely
is it
talk
really
to your
anymore?
attorney.
Yeah. So what was it?
So, switching of financing. So, you put in, well, first let me just say we follow Lynn Madison very closely. We just love her. And she keeps us informed. She does a lot of training and has a lot of videos and whatnot, and has her own training program, I think, right? Or
Yeah,
whatever.
She's awesome.
So to make a long story short, she does talk about this in her, I don't know, her presentation about changing and, you know, the importance of not switching financing. It's not something that you should do.
So, well, first of all, when you fill out an application, or not an application, but an offer, and then sign it into contract because both sides have agreed.
Right.
Within there, it spells out the type of financing you're having.
Correct.
If it's conventional, if it's cash, I mean, obviously, but if it doesn't say cash, you know, conventional, VA, and FHA.
Yeah.
And people have feelings on those different types of programs. Due to the minimum amount down, put down, sometimes people make assumptions that somebody might be a stronger.
Right. But before you get into that, because I know where you're going with this, let's just back it up though. So once you reach out to an agent, you meet with a lender, you get your financing, it's called a pre-approval letter, or your approval. You talk with your lender. They will tell you what the best type of financing is for your situation, because everyone's is different and unique.
Right.
And like Danielle said, it has FHA, VA, if you're going to get grants, conventional, all these things. So us as realtors, what we do when we get that and meet with you, we get that, we reach out to your lender, we make a connection, we ask all the pertinent information that we'll need once we do find you a home, and we have to fill in the blanks in the contract because that's all we're allowed to do. But that letter states your interest rate, your type of financing, we usually ask them when you could close, if we should, keep HOAs under a certain amount or taxes at a certain amount, like all those things. So once you fill out the contract, which Danielle was referencing to, that's when, well, first of all, it's a legal binding
it's agreed
document
upon
and
between both parties.
Right.
Now, generally, when we have found in the past where buyers have jumped from, maybe they were conventional to FHA,
or vice versa, or whatever the case
well,
may
most
of the time.
it's sometimes people will choose somebody who's a conventional because they think it's an easier appraisal.
Yeah.
So they won't pick FHA because they don't want to deal with the FHA appraisal.
Whatever
but here's a side
the
note
way
on
they
that.
feel is ridiculous.
Several years ago, pretty much most appraisers end up doing an FHA appraisal for situations like this, because there is, and that's the thing. It's like, it's intentional or unintentional. There are people who absolutely from day one planned on getting a conventional loan or an FHA loan or whatever it is, and then found out they had to change in order to keep the deal going. They had to change the type of financing. And a lot of the times, depending on how far into the process it is, usually they, a lot of sellers go fine, as long as it appraises and it's, everything else is kept same, and we don't have to adjust too much of the closing time, let's go for it. And even if you do have to kind of adjust the closing time, but the point
important that you said that though, this about the sellers, because it is at their discretion.
Yes, absolutely. So I mean, it's a change in the contract, and if you don't agree with the change in the contract is now void, and you move on to the next buyer. So that's being said, there have been less than honest instances where this has happened, where people put that they're going to get financing one way with the intention of never getting it like that. It's not great, and so usually you hear that and you're, oh no, like why would they do this? But Melissa has been finding out that in her experience, that there's a different reason for the changes.
Well, I'm not a lender and I don't know. I'm just going based off of what I was told. But like in certain scenarios, they go in with the intention of doing X, but then, situations arise, so they have to go to Y, right? The rate was lower, the payment was lower, whatever you speak with your lender about, because obviously you need to be able to afford the home, but that's what I was, had been informed, or, that they had to switch, not because they couldn't, because didn't have to. It was a choice because the payment was lower. However, lending and money and all that stuff works.
Right. So, but the point is that it's something to be aware of, that it can happen, and people are doing it for different reasons now.
We're not saying to do that.
No. That's the reason you
not.
have an extensive conversation with your lender, and then even maybe it's our choice. Maybe it's even our. We talk to other agents, right? If we are representing the buyer, and you are a really strong candidate for, you could put more down, you could get a conventional loan, which seems to have, they tend to have a bit more stringent criteria, which is, part of the reason people like it, because they're, they feel like it's a stronger buyer, not necessarily, but that's what I'm saying. In this case, FHA does not necessarily, it's been having a better interest rate, and in a time where people are seeing the interest rate that they maybe started looking for a house at,
versus by the time they get under contract,
go up and up, it might be better for them to switch over to a different product. But
because again, your rate isn't locked in until you are under contract, so that's important.
Yes, and not even under contract, a certain amount of days out of the contract. So if it's a long, if somebody needs to buy something later on, and they need like a 60-day close because they need to find a house, you are not locking in that rate probably for at least a month in. Because rate locks only last so long. Yeah. So your lender is definitely going to want to work with you to make sure that your closing is going to be on time, because it costs money to, you can sometimes get a change and relock it, especially if it goes down or something like that, but it's not free. It's most of the time, the buyer has to pay it, or if it's the seller's issue, sometimes they have to pay for that lock extension. But would
have been fun to have an actual lender call in or something today.
One of these days we'll get a lender on here to chat with us. But this is what we learned. We learned that in the past, sometimes, most of the time when people switched financing, it was kind of for an emergency reason. Now we're finding that people are sometimes switching lending for a reason, for their bottom line, basically, which is, hey,
as long as everyone is on board with it, and everyone knows about
sharing
it.
Oh,
too. Of course, it has to be
pretending
shared.
like it wasn't.
Yes,
done.
because
that's another issue.
Yeah, that is a separate issue. But that's what I saw in regards to that. So that was worth sharing. Not saying to go and do that, because that is not right, but that weakens your, all those things, your, contingency could be, all these things. Again, I'm not a lender, but so that was one. Danielle, what did you learn?
So, one of the things I learned, is there is a change. Another, I guess we really did need a lender on here talking.
Right?
So,
let's get one on speed dial.
next time. Maybe one of our lenders will comment a little bit.
Yeah.
But there was just a major change for the first time in a very long time on the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are lending institutions that back up loans. They're governmental backed loans. Correct. They have changed their requirements. So before, for a very long time, for probably 2 decades or longer, FICO scores, right? You've heard them 100 times. People make their business, their financial business, telling people how they always have to know what their FICO score is. But in this case, and FICO is based on your credit rating. And that means credit cards, paying things off, previous loans, things like that, and how often you pay it. But there are plenty of people who are very financially sound, but don't have credit cards, have never bought a house. Right. But they pay their rent on time every month. Yeah. They pay their utility bills on time every month. And they get lost because their credit score is low, because based on the traditional way of calculating
borrowing money.
it encourages people to borrow money and to have lines of credit and to pay it off and all that other stuff, which I understand that, but there's a segment of the population who is getting left behind. And one of the fun, very exciting things out there is that they are changing the requirements, that there are 2 other systems out there that you can now use for lending in addition to or instead of the traditional FICO score. So now we are able to use something called a FICO 10 or a
Vantage score. 4.0 or something.
4.0, yeah. And so those take the rental and the utility experiences and the fact that they are done on a monthly basis on time.
Like showing payment history.
Yes, it's a payment history saying that, and the other thing that people would get upset about, which is rightly so, we know how high rentals are getting these days, right? And just because the whole housing crisis is making everything go up, not just sell houses. And so when people can't get a loan for a $2,500, let's say, payment a month, when they've already been paying $2,700 a month, for a rental or $3,000 or whatever the price is, when they're already paying the same or more and somehow can't get the rental, can't get a loan, it's like, wait, this doesn't make sense. I'm already paying this and I'm doing it accurately and monthly and without haste. Why can't I? So that's very, very exciting.
That's great news.
It's really gonna increase the ability for the average person to
access,
get into the
home ownership.
Yes. So that's very exciting news.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that we learned this month, different types of fraud.
Just talked about this.
Yes. Yeah. So we were just learning, again, if you've bought or sold with us, both of us, we have a wire fraud advisory that's talking about the increase of
scams,
fraud.
People calling, asking for money, saying they're with it, whatever, just so they could get your information and then forget it. But us as agents and at eXp Realty will never ask you to wire money anywhere.
No.
So.
And you clarify that with anybody if you're in the transaction before you do anything. But there's other things to be aware of now. Yeah. So what's some of them?
Want me to send you a Zoom link so I can put some malicious hardware, whatever they do, whatever the hackers do, so they can steal your information. Yeah, that was talked about in the meeting. All kinds of things. I mean, creative.
First of all, land. This is not necessarily a new scam.
But it is a scam.
But there is definitely people who have listed all over the United States who are getting listings for land. People are buying the land and finding out the person who owned the land in the first place never had the authority. This is going
never had the knowledge that their land was being sold.
Well, I'm saying the people who sold
didn't
actually have the right to. And I mean, this is going through attorneys. This is going through title. This is going through like the entire checks and balance of things. So I think that buying land and building is a great opportunity for a lot of people, but there is a lot of work that needs to go into, making sure that the people who say, because a lot of people who own land, right, they hold it for a long time and sometimes it gets passed down to family, depending on how long it's been. And so, that could be a problem, but you go, and there's less, right? If I can't call and say, hey, I'm going to sell 101 Main Street in this town. Somebody lives there most of the time, right? You can't just sell it without but land is land. It's just plot, nobody knows.
It's like a big plot of land that I own, and then you're walking around telling everyone it's for sale, and
right. And who
you're
knows?
selling it right underneath me, or trying to at least, because you're scamming. But
and then the other thing that is a big scam that's going on, or fraud that's going on, is people pretending to be agents.
Oh, yeah.
And getting information that they shouldn't have or don't need or whatever, just to scam people.
You could always ask an agent for a pocket card when we get our license issued to us and renew them every 2 years. They give us a little pocket card to keep in our wallet.
Note to self.
Is yours in your wallet, Danielle?
Yeah. Laminated. Well, we just got it.
Mine's not laminated, though.
But, we just got renewed. Yeah. So our newest 2026 to 2028 licenses will be in.
You can always look up an agent, too, though, on the... I always get that
all they have to do is call us.
Well, right. Very good point. But I'm just saying, if they ever wanted to, and a consumer could look up on the, I get the
IDFPR.
Yes, I always call it something else. Illinois Department of Professional Regulations. Yes, okay.
And financial.
Financial and
and-
professional, right? See, told you I get that one messed up. But anyways,
So,
yes.
so that's another way people
Stay on
are being
alert.
fraudulent. And then also, you know, and this is probably more relevant for us than the regular consumer, but just be on the lookout either. Is that another scam that we get all the time? Is that an email comes through and saying, I would love to buy this property. Let's have a Zoom meeting or a Meet, you know, Google Meet or whatever meeting. Here's my link.
Yeah.
Well,
Once
you
you
know, we'll
click
meet
on
at 3
it.
o'clock tomorrow. Okay, well, once you click on it, they are putting malware and getting your information.
Yeah.
So, just as a general reminder, you know, this
Be
day and age,
careful.
most people know not to
Just
open
hire
links.
a good agent, and you'll be fine.
give us
Just
a
hire
call.
good agent. We'll
Send
take
us a
we'll help
PM.
you with the worry.
Yes, we'll make
Send
sure.
us a PM. But again, we are not attorneys. We are not lenders. We are just sharing what we know. If you want more clarification, reach out to one of those. But we are just wanted to explain what we've
Learned this month because
Yeah,
this is going to be
been
one of
through
our
this
series.
month,
is
yes.
What have we learned?
end of the
And-
month recap of what we've learned.
Yes.
So we're just girls that want to sell real estate and have fun. Or,
And have our clients be safe.
of course, always safety first.
And we'll see you on the next video.
All right. Again, see you
care.
later. Take care.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.